What's happening? This is Black Man Lab, live but online. Hope everybody out there is safe, sound, doing what you do. We welcoming brothers from all over the country now. There's really no excuse for you not to be at the Black Man Lab live online, right? Because normally we have our gatherings at the Young YMCA, but because of the coronavirus, we're having to shake stuff up, we're having to shift, make moves, but we still have these brothers here. You see all of these beautiful black men who are here together, again, connecting and sharing information and meeting our mission at Black Man Lab to create a culturally relevant space where we can share information and enrich each other's lives and affirm each other. And so, welcome. I'm attorney Mawuli Mel Davis, one of the co-founders of Black Man Lab. We always start with first, if there's anyone out there, any brother, because we know that life deals us some blows. And with the coronavirus, clearly we are under a different kind of energy, and we're trying to make sure that everyone is feeling affirmed and you don't feel as though you're hopeless. And so what we always want to do is pause for a moment. Typically we would invite a brother up. This is Brother Marty Monaghan. We would invite a brother up and have him come up and then explain what that process is, so that if you're at home, you can feel this hug when we get ready to give it to you.
Yeah, generally what we do is we bring any brother that is struggling with whatever. We don't ask questions. We ask if you need some good Black Man Lab love, come on up to the front of our room, and we as a group embrace that person. Every single person in the room gives that brother a hug, a handshake, something to show that we are here to support. And we want you to know that as well. Although we are being live right now, we are over the internet, we want you to know that we feel you if you're out there struggling, and take this hug from us, even though it's over the internet.
All right, here's that hug. Y'all all right? All right. In addition to affirming brothers and letting them know that they are loved no matter what space they're in, we also like to honor our ancestors, and to do that, we have a special Black Man Lab libation, essentially, that we do, that Brother Professor Jared Grant does, one of the other co-founders of Black Man Lab and one of the brothers of Let Us Make Man as well. So Brother Jared, you want to step forward?
Greetings, family. We're going to honor our ancestors with a nice little libation. I want you to think about somebody from our past that has passed, and think about them in your heart and mind. Bring them on into this room. Bring them on into the spirit of what we're trying to do here. Raise your fist up and just think of that ancestor, and just take about 5 seconds and bring those ancestors in. Let's honor our ancestors. Think about those ancestors. Ashe.
Ashe. All right. We appreciate that, Brother Jared.
And with that, one of the things that we do at Black Man Lab as well is we try to offer resources for those that are in need of whatever. We try to provide those resources. With that, I'm going to introduce Brother Fred Parham, who is our resource expert, and he's going to talk about some of the resources that we have out there. Fred?
Good evening and afternoon, family, everybody watching and listening across this internet. Today, really, the resources are all about how to maintain connectivity for our parents, in particular, to the schools, and that includes academic resources and food, lunch. So I'll start with verbatim, word for word. Atlanta Public Schools, those who don't know, beginning Monday today, all APS students can easily receive the bag meals at 5 school sites that will be open for food distribution Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. until noon. Those 5 sites are Douglas High School, Cleveland Avenue Elementary School, Bunch Middle School, Sylvan Middle School, Phoenix Academy. Again, Douglas High School, Cleveland Elementary School, Bunch, Sylvan Middle Schools, and Phoenix Academy. In addition, Atlanta Public Schools is partnering with Hosea Williams Feed the Hungry at 4779 Mindy Street, Atlanta, Georgia, 30366. And to contact them, you can reach them at 404-755-3353. And the food pantry is open on Tuesday and Wednesday, Thursday from 10 a.m. to noon. That's Hosea Williams Feed the Hungry. Food pantry is open Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 10 a.m. to noon. The students will need their ID, Social Security card, and that'll be it to receive access to food there. Lastly, beginning Monday, March 23rd, the district is going further. For all APS families, they can report to one of those 5 sites that I mentioned earlier, and same times, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to noon, and they can also receive a shelf-stable grocery item, such as our breads and eggs and everything of that nature. So that information will be up on the Black Man Lab website so that you can continually access and affirm that and share it out in the community, please. In addition, the Xfinity has partnered with Atlanta Public Schools, and they have hotspots across the nation, but specifically for our needs in Atlanta, available to anyone who needs them for free, including non-Xfinity internet subscribers. For a map of Xfinity Wi-Fi hotspots, visit www.xfinity.com/Wi-Fi. Again, that's www.xfinity.com/Wi-Fi to find out where those hotspots are. Once at a hotspot, consumers should select the Xfinity Wi-Fi network name in the list of available hotspots and then launch a browser. And then lastly, I want to share this information with you so that you can be informed versus disinformation that largely travels over this internet. And this has to do with the number and amount of cases and where those cases of coronavirus are in Georgia, and it's listed by county, and it will be updated every day at noon according to the government authorities here in the city. This is the Georgia Department of Public Health. The website to access the information is dph.georgia.gov. Again, that's dph.georgia.gov. And that information will be updated daily by 12 noon, the counties and the number of cases that are documented from tests around the state of Georgia, but in particularly, of course, in the metro Atlanta community. Brother Marty, that's all I have right now.
Appreciate you, Brother Fred. Thank you so much. Again, all of that information will be on the Black Man Lab website. I encourage all of you guys to go to the Black Man Lab website to see information about what things we are doing. But then also, if you want to support the work that we're doing at the Black Man Lab, we have a donate button there as well. Anything that you can donate to help this is greatly appreciated, and is going to go to doing the work that we do in terms of trying to help our young folks get even more resources available to them. Again, you can donate to the Black Man Lab. Our Cash App is the Black Man Lab, and you can go there and donate. Can you see that good? You can donate straight to the Cash App, or you can go to the website and donate as well. We're gonna have one of our young kings here hold this up for us.
Young man,
stand up so they can see that shirt too.
There it is. All right. Young Parham, thank you, brother. Good job, good work.
Thank you.
And so, brothers and sisters, because normally you all know that when we do Black Man Lab live at the Y or at the Russell Center at 504 Fair Street, it's nothing but brothers, and we are normally 150, 200 brothers deep. But because of the coronavirus, we've had to make this adjustment. So we want to let you know that we are abiding by all of the health suggestions as well as the public policy. So we have less than 10 people in this space. We have been sanitizing. No one has hugged as much as we want to hug and support each other. We've done the elbow bumps. Brothers have no one has coughed or sneezed, because when they do, I'm running up out of here. No, I'm just playing. But truth be told, we are definitely taking this serious as a community. And so that's why we felt it was the most responsible thing was for us not to gather the way we normally do and just give you our very best under these circumstances with these brothers. And we have with us coming on shortly a sister who is a infectious disease specialist from the CDC, Dr. Joyce Drayton, a good long-term friend of ours, has supported Let Us Make Man for many years. She also serves on the host committee for the Let Us Make Man Gala, which was scheduled for March 26th, next Thursday. We'll have a big announcement about that coming in the next 24 hours. So we just want, again, to thank these brothers for leaving their homes, leaving the safety of their homes so that they could come and share. And we're going to have a conversation. We hope if you have questions, you'll just shoot us questions, and then we'll be able to update you. For any resources, if you're in need, mental health, housing, education, or employment, Brother Fred Parham and Brother Joe Barker, they man 24/7. They man our info at blacklab.org, blackmanlab.org. So the email address, just send them an email and they'll respond to your email. Obviously, we've been bombarded recently because of the coronavirus, but these brothers are working to help connect you with the necessary resources. So we hope you all are tuning in. We got a lot of good stuff to talk about tonight, and we get ready to go ahead and jump right in it. Brother Marty.
Ready to go.
All right. So we have these brothers. I'm going to try to squeeze into this shot here. We want each one of the brothers to introduce themselves because we're coming from a number of different perspectives as it relates to how do we as a community respond under these uncertain times? How do we deal with this? And so we want them to introduce themselves, talk about where their subject matter expertise is, what particular perspective, and then we're going to launch into that conversation, receive questions from you, and hope you can feel this Black Man Lab energy as we continue to press forward. Everybody good? I hope so.
I think they're good.
All right. So we'll start. Let's start down at this end. Good doctor. Come on in and pass the mic. Let's lean in. I'm going to try to lean in here with you, brother. I don't want to block you.
No problem.
Introduce yourself and just talk about the perspective. You've been a Black Man Lab panel presenter on a number of occasions.
Times, right.
And so tell them who you are and connect the Black Man Lab world up.
Right on. So my name is Dr. Brian McGregor. I am by training a clinical community psychologist. So a lot of people are familiar with clinical psychology, but my community psychology training basically provides me with some knowledge and skills and understanding around how individuals and institutions relate to one another to provide for mental health and wellness. So individuals and institutions like prisons and schools and churches, and so what that looks like and how those environments are set up to promote or hinder mental health and wellness. So I'm an assistant professor at Morehouse School of Medicine here in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm a native of the area. I'm born and raised here in Decatur, and I really appreciate the invitation to come and kind of share and talk about different ways that people are sort of responding to this pandemic. I'm certainly not an expert on global pandemics or the psychology of them, but a lot of what I've looked at just resonates with me and how sort of people are having challenges and responding in adaptive and healthy ways to this situation. So
Doc is going to help us have a healthy discussion around how we can manage our emotions, our mental health, as this crises and panic sets in, so that our young people are safe and processing this, and we are as well. Because I felt personally anxiety. around, we have a small business, we have employees, we have concerns, and we just want to make sure that none of us panic and make things worse.
Right.
They are what they are. So we appreciate you for being here, brother. Thank you very much. We'll go to our next brother, a Let Us Make Man brother, as well as a Black Man Lab brother Fred Parham. Go ahead and introduce yourself and talk about the perspective that you will address this issue.
Again, Brother Davis, I appreciate it mildly just being the invite, as Brian said. And the perspective that I'm really trying to get to tonight is education. And of course, I'm an African-centered educator, over 20 years working in the community, an intellect worker, really, developed through our institutions at the community level. And my focus tonight will be a holistic one on how do I, in the midst of this swift change in my life, how do I make sure that my child, one, that I stay on point, two, and that I'm able to help my child create the discipline necessary while they're confined to home or thereabouts in the neighborhood to make sure their academic pursuits are still being met, but then further making sure that they are able to maintain a sense of security, in a time that is so uncertain. And so I would like to, at this moment, invite everyone who's watching and listening to just watch the camera for a moment, and on a count of 3, 3, 2, 1, take a deep breath. Inhale with me and exhale. And instantly, now you're present. Right? And first thing you should realize being present is that your shoulders dropped a little bit. And then secondly, your sense of personal security has been affirmed because your presence in whatever space you're in. And so I'll pass the mic to the next brother.
We appreciate you, brother. We appreciate you. We do that exercise every Monday with brothers, just to get everyone in the space, present, settled down. And so we appreciate you bringing that forward right now as we do it across, Facebook and Instagram. So thank you for
Didn't even think of doing that, Fred. Thank you.
That's right. That's right. My brother.
Greetings.
Greetings.
My name is Sylvester Pierce, Kodachrome 3 X5 online. Me and my brother Tariq, King General 357, make up the Black Packers with a Z. There's also the Black Packers Crew, which is 3 people deep, and that is a nonprofit that we can use to integrate into schools that people can donate to, and we can make sure that those who donate to us, we can give back to you because we are a nonprofit. Our focus is emergency preparation. We focus in the Black community. Our goal is always to support Black businesses first. We define community as first those who live in our vicinity and those who look like us. Secondly, we expanded to those who have the same ideas and goals of us while understanding that Black people have the main struggle. So anyone that helps out outside of that will understand that our first premise is always Black people. Our mission over these last couple of months has been to not panic, prepare, and to not procrastinate, but to plan. And there's never a time where it's too late for you to start planning. So thank you very much for that breath, because with anything that's going on right now, when an emergency happens, people react. They stay right of bang instead of left of bang, which means responding instead of preparing, and they don't take the time to ground.
We appreciate you, brother. So your organization is an emergency preparedness organization.
Yes.
That's you all's focus.
That's our focus.
When did you all start, and where do you operate? What spaces?
We started after Katrina and Trayvon Martin. Emergency being defined as anything that happens where if you do not respond immediately, either your life is going to end or your health is going to decrease. Katrina was an emergency. Trayvon happening and affecting every last one of us in some way was an emergency. We had to do something immediately to stop it from happening again. So as far as physical, I live near the airport. He doesn't live too far from me, but we expand out to literally whomever needs us. We've gone as far as up to Toccoa, Georgia, and we've had a few people ask us to come over to different states to help out as well.
All right. So you all see we have a number of different perspectives from brothers who will, again, help us with this conversation. We believe that information And the more knowledge and information that we receive, the more comfortable we become, even in very emergency situations and when things are going crazy. Yeah. If you have information, you can make decisions, and you can make healthy decisions, informed decisions for your family, for yourself, for your community. And so we appreciate you brothers being here. And so we're just going to get it kicked off. We'll bring Dr. Drayton in a moment. Dr. Drayton, again, is an expert in infectious disease. And so we want her to be able to give us the medicine behind the coronavirus, debunk some of the myths. But for now, we want you brothers just to talk about what you're seeing on the ground in terms of when you're talking with young brothers, when you're interacting with families, with mothers who may have children at home and not a whole bunch of support. What are some of the suggestions that you all have practical right now in this moment? If there were 3 things you could say, hey, mom, dad, or young person, consider doing this to help people feel more empowered, what would some of those things be? And then you all could just pass the mic and go at this thing.
So I'd like to start, brothers, because your first point was, what are we seeing on the ground? And I think really that's what we all should be doing, is watching out for each other as a matter of course and as a matter of practicality for African people or black folks in the metro Atlanta area. But what I saw Friday when I picked up my son and daughter from KIPP Atlanta schools is I saw 2 single mothers, man, holding a conversation and really strategizing on how they were going to respond to the policies coming down from the government. One mother worked at Burger King, sitting next to another mother who was a cafeteria worker at a local high school. And so the conversation kind of went like this. One of the mothers said, well, wow, I don't want to use all my PTO because I have to take off to watch my kid or children. And then the other mother said, yeah, I got a little money saved, but I don't want to spend all that money paying bills because now I'm not able to go to work as a cafeteria worker. And so, the government's putting down policy, and, we are thankful for the things that they have done in communicating, about the concern for poor folks and others. But it doesn't address the immediacy of the decisions that parents have to make. Now, here's another thing. The children will reflect the uncertainty and panic that the parents display. And so I say number 1 for parents is make sure you're getting your information from a reliable and accurate source. Certainly, you want to be at the website that I mentioned earlier. And then the other part is you want to make sure that you establish a regimen that's similar to the one that your kid is used to from being in school during this time. And it's very simply done. That regimen can be put on the refrigerator. It can be put out, on a sheet of paper taped on the wall. And it's about what's going to happen when you wake up in the morning all the way until you go to bed at night or till the parent gets home.
So a schedule.
A schedule.
We should have a schedule, try to stick with a schedule that's consistent with their school schedule. So this isn't the time to let's start waking up at 12 o'clock.
Correct.
It's not time to let's go to bed at 4 a.m.
Correct. It's not spring break yet.
Right. Okay. Doc.
Yeah, so I'm thinking about the first part of your question when you talked about the reaction, the sort of initial reaction, and I think that's really important to just recognize, because what you see in situations like this is panic, right? Confusion,
right?
There's a lot of xenophobia, like just fear of other people. Who's got it? Who's protecting themselves? Who's not? And so that creates a situation where there's a lot of tension and like additional stress that we're having to manage in a society where there are folks who regularly have some of these challenges, but obviously that's amplified when you have something like this, which is a virus that spreads pretty easily, and then you have the confusion fueled by misinformation, disinformation, and it's kind of hard to sort of get a handle on it. And so when you start hearing things that are coming out over the news about you can't gather in large groups. You can't, like all these different ways that actually serve to separate and cause physical and sort of emotional, psychological division. Instead of like the word that I hear, I've probably heard more often other than coronavirus is social distancing.
Yeah.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Yeah.
So when you think about what that means in terms of our overall psychological healthiness, that actually stands to, add a layer of stress.
Right.
And we have to be creative and think about ways to stay connected that doesn't elevate our risk for contracting the illness.
So it's two things that you mentioned that I found really interesting in terms of what I've observed as well. Yesterday, I'm at Target. I'm part of the scramble. We looked around. We looked at I started at Kroger's, took that thing to Publix.
Right.
Then we ended up at Target. No toilet paper, no paper towels, and no eggs. Yep. Now, some of my vegan brothers and sisters like, you don't need no eggs anyway, but still. Right. I'm still, brother, trying to scramble up some eggs for the fam. And so while I'm in Target, I hear a sneeze. And everyone just froze. That's right. And we're like, where the hell did that come from? Like, who's up in here sneezing? Folks just tripped out. Hey, who did that? Right. Let me look at them. Let me see if they look sick. It was like a real thing. By the way, I wasn't on the same aisle, so I think I was more than 14 feet away. But so that was a public situation where I felt the absolute tension and the fear.
The angst of it.
The angst.
Yeah.
That's the angst of it. And then the second part that you raised just around social distancing for us, and I think that's why we have to have these conversations. That's why Black Man Lab was created, for a safe space for Black men to talk, because we have a different set of historical perspectives. We had the Tuskegee syphilis experiment. Those of you all who aren't clear, that for 40 years, there were Black men who were tested, and they were test dummies, and they were infected with syphilis. And so the paranoia that we have about the American medical system, the paranoia we have about government is rooted in our experience, our historical, cultural experience. And so we have to try to wade through that and get to some truth and some information. And I think we have Dr. Joyce Drayton, who can provide us some solid medical information. And then we're gonna come back to a conversation, and we're gonna keep working at this thing. But so the issue for me, as we talk about the social distancing, is we as a people have always, it's in the gathering, right? That's a part of our tradition, the gathering, the pulling together of people. We have that, that was why Kwanzaa was created, the ingathering of people. And then if you look even at it from a medical standpoint, the different chemicals that are released in our body when we are gathered and we feel safe, right? It's different from the
state of calm.
Yeah.
It brings a state of calm when you, one, realize you're not alone, you're with your people. It really helps us. And so now we're saying, no more than 10. And so if that is how we stop the virus, we have to do what we have to do. But maybe that we can close that gap by doing things like this, by doing Zoom and calling up people, but staying connected. So we can't let this call for social distancing disconnect us from each other, right?
I think that also, Maoli, that social distancing piece, what it does is it also allows for misinformation.
Oh yeah.
Right? Because we're not connected. So now I find out some misinformation, and either I'm holding it or
You texting it.
I test it. Right?
We got some crazy texts, man.
Right,
like,
sir, man. Yeah.
In 72 hours, this whole thing is shutting down.
Right.
I got that text.
Yeah.
Got the 10 breaths in the morning, wake up.
And then the other one though is how many people I know somebody at the Pentagon or I know somebody at the White House.
Yeah, that Pentagon was moved around quite a bit.
Yeah. My brother works at the White House, so I actually call him and be like, "Hey man, is this some BS?" And he'll be like, and of course he's stop listening to other people, So yeah, it's that all causes, I think, for us that angst.
Yeah.
And that's a great question for you all in terms of what do you think is our move to get through that?
We have Dr. Joyce Drayton on Instagram Live. Hey Doc, how you doing? Good. So we're gonna for Facebook Live, we'll repeat what we hear you say. How about that? I know you have one device, so you're on Instagram Live, so we're gonna rock with that, and then we'll talk about it. And I think we're trying to get you into Facebook Live as well. But how are you doing?
Doing pretty well. A little bit tired, but doing well.
Tell folks, if you wouldn't mind just introducing yourself so people kind of get to know and understand why you might be tired with the recent events that have happening around the world.
Well, I'm Dr. Joyce Drayton. I'm an infectious disease specialist here in Atlanta. And I'm a Howardite, like Miley's boys.
Hey, you.
Came through Howard, came to Atlanta, joined the faculty at Morehouse School of Medicine, stayed there for a while, and then I went into corporate medicine and with a health plan, but I had hung out my own shingle a few years ago, and so I do clinical medicine and working now at the WellStar system and at Select Hospital, and I'm director of medical infection control at a couple hospitals as well. So I still do the clinical piece and take care of patients, and have gotten home at 12:30 a couple nights this week.
Wow.
A little bit overwhelming, but fortunately I'm an empty nester like Miley now, so I don't have quite as much to do at home.
But all the boys are all coming home now. The university has sent everybody home.
I had to twist the one out in California's arm, but when I told him they might shut him down out there, he decided to come home.
Yeah. With these uncertain times, as much as we wanted them to stay, we listened and said, you all come on home as well. So, Joyce, help us, if you could, just talk about the virus, what you know about it in terms of how it's transmitted, just so that we can have some sense of what should we do to stop the spread.
Well, coronaviruses are a group of viruses. There's some very common ones that just kind of cause the common cold. We can test for those very easily. We test for them routinely. There are a couple in the past couple decades that have been a little bit different. And you may remember SARS.
Yeah.
Right.
Right, remember SARS, and that was around 2003, 2004. It came up, and really there were no cases really since 2004. And then in about 2012, 2013, you may have heard of MERS-CoV. That was a Middle Eastern coronavirus that caused a lot of lung disease, which is pretty typical. And that kind of flared up in 2012, 2013.
So Dr. Drayton, you still there with us? Okay, go ahead. Can you repeat the last part? You phased out on us.
Oh, well, I don't know where it was, but I mentioned the things that we can do to kind of reduce the likelihood that we get it.
Yes.
Okay. Well, washing your hands, if you use a tissue, don't put it in your pocket and reuse it, or handkerchiefs, kind of discard it. Sneeze into your elbow, crook of your elbow. And of course, I heard before I was on live, to talk about social distancing, which is just a horrible term, because I'm a hugger.
Right.
It plays a psychological game on you. But,
Sure.
that's why, we're kind of saying no gatherings greater than 250 people, and now we're breaking it down. We really don't want to be around more than 10 or 20. That's the recommendation from the CDC. What I do kind of play a game with, because it's really hard on you when you use that term social distancing, is, we'll do a shoulder, we'll do a arm bump, and that's saying hello, but then if we rub arms like this, that's a hug.
Right.
We're trying to make do.
Yeah. Doc, what about the virus makes it so, why is it such a pandemic around the world? What makes this so different?
I think that it's very contagious, seems to be more contagious than flu, kind of like almost as contagious as measles, which used to go around in the community. There's, the thought that this, looking at the numbers, this probably was circulating in China a lot longer than we've been told it's circulating, or that they wanted to reveal. So, because the numbers can't go from 0 to 80,000 quite that quickly, even in something that's very contagious. So, not, being aware of it very early. And then, of course, it's a very different world than it was in 10 and 20 when you had the flu. I mean, people are flying all over. There is flu season, but if I fly up here from Argentina, it's flu season in Argentina, but it's not flu season here. So we're just so mobile. People are just, it's moving all over the world, and it's a lot easier to transmit, these kinds of diseases.
Hey, Doc, a question for you as it relates to determining if somebody has the virus. I know that there was some limitations on test kits or something like that before. Can you talk to that?
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's, new virus, it takes a minute to sequence it and to, know all of the antigens that are on the surface that help us develop the test. Then you have to retool the factory, and you have to do standardization. So, and it's very difficult. There was some delay in the Chinese government allowing CDC officials and others to get into Wuhan to get to the original virus, because viruses do kind of change a little bit when they pass through people. Okay, so you want to get to the original locale where they have original specimens from folks. The only place it was testing originally was the CDC for the entire country.
Wow.
Pretty quickly, they were able to get the test out to the state health departments. But once you start getting a lot of tested in, even that was overwhelmed. And so they brought in the commercial laboratories that are accustomed to doing, large volumes of tests for hospitals and clinics, and that's Quest and LabCorp. And so they very, very quickly standardized the test, and they have it, but they still don't have capacity to test everybody. And it's actually not appropriate for everybody to be tested, actually. It's a person who has symptoms, it's appropriate to test, but any test, if you're testing people who don't have symptoms, then the likelihood of your false positives is going to go up. And you don't want false positives. You don't want too many false positives, because then what happens, you have to examine all of their contacts, and you're wasting your time because that was a person who really didn't, have the disease.
Doctor, this is Sylvester. If you can hear me, I had a question for you concerning those false positives. If you have a family member, because this happened to hit when Georgia got hit with all the pollen that's coming in. So a lot of people are coughing and sneezing. When do we know that a family member needs to go get tested, and how do we find a test for them? See? It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
Well, the typical symptoms are fever. They should have fever. I've had, reaction to pollen. I don't necessarily have fever. So fever is present in at least 85% or more of people. They should have a cough. The cough really isn't very productive. And a lot of people who have seasonal allergies will have more nasal symptoms, kind of runny nose and stuffiness. So that can happen with this virus, but it's not, the big part of the virus. The main thing is fever, cough, and of course, for those who are a little bit sicker, they get pneumonia, so they will have shortness of breath. But if you have fever and kind of upper respiratory symptoms, not just, runny nose and red eyes, you might want to come because again, like you say, it has hit during this season where you can have a little confusion about the symptoms or symptoms that cross over. And certainly you get shortness of breath with fever, you just come into the ER.
Doc, I don't know if you can answer this one, but we have a question from one of our viewers. He said, can you speak to the correlation between the obligation of reporting viruses to the World Health Organization and trade wars such as the N1 in 2018 as required?
Plain and simple.
All right. I'm not certain. There's so many different issues that because of the politics, the world, the global politics of this. I do want to, we've looked at Italy, and we're hearing doctors in Italy say that the United States is making the same mistake as they made in terms of not just shutting everything down. I know in Chicago and New York now, the restaurants and bars are now mandated to close, that they are not allowing people to go to bars and restaurants. That hasn't happened in Georgia yet, but do you see any validity when you look at where Italy is right now, kind of looking back at any models of where we are right now and the likelihood, are we doing enough and what more can we do?
Yeah, that's pretty complicated, and there are things you have to take into consideration. You probably could do more, let's say that. But, Italy is, not a whole lot bigger than Illinois. It's just a different size country. It's a different, it had a different explosion in cases. It also happened in a little bit ahead of ours. The anticipation is that when the weather gets warmer, these things tend to peter out. So it was actually a little bit better that we probably caught the bug a little bit later into the, into the winter season. The other thing is that Italy probably exploded a little bit faster because as porous as our borders are, they kind of part of the EU and have a large, base of people because of their fashion industry. So they had large numbers of Chinese residents who were coming home and kind of trying to get away from it and brought it into the country. I think that there are individual cities like New Rochelle, I'm from New York, like New Rochelle, like San Antonio, mayors of these cities who have shut, have declared, emergency, which requires that the restaurants shut down. But yeah, if you were to do it on a national scale, it's a little harder to do here.
Right.
But you have to look at the cases. So for example, maybe 6,500 cases in the States. Out of the deaths, they're about, this is last night, the number changed, but 67 deaths, 40 of which are in Seattle. So 2/3 of the deaths are in one state. So is that a state that maybe we don't want people, traveling out of Seattle or into Seattle? Unfortunately, that epidemic hit a nursing home. So that's one of the unfortunate reasons why that state has so many people who, succumb to it. But I just got an email that City Winery shut down, and that's one of my hangouts.
Oh, man.
No, tell me indeed.
So there are a lot of places that are voluntarily doing it here in Georgia, even though our beloved mayor hasn't declared an emergency quite yet. Just so you know, as of last night, and maybe more now, we had about 115 cases in Georgia. Fortunately, only one death so far.
Okay. Well, Doc, we appreciate you taking the time out. We know you are stretched to capacity in what you're doing. We appreciate you being on the front lines of this pandemic and doing everything you can to help people. And we know that it's your calling and you've chosen it, but at the same time, we appreciate it. As Black men, we are thankful and grateful, and we do want to acknowledge you are the first. ever sister to address Black Man Lab, so we just want to give it up for you.
Thank you.
And we appreciate you, and we...
Two wonderful Black men, and I'm married to one. So.
All right. Awesome.
All right, thank you. God
Thank
bless.
you.
Keep up the great work. And I'm sure we'll probably circle back soon with you.
Sure, no problem.
All right. So, brothers, Dr. George Drayton just shared out, provided us some medical information. We were, right before she came on, we were really talking about some practical day-to-day things that families could do, young people could do. We talked about the schedule on the refrigerator, maintaining the schedule. I want to ask you, Doc, the importance of maintaining a regular schedule in terms of just from a mental health perspective, because the anxiety, depression, those kinds of issues that could arise when things are uncertain. What does scheduling have to do with mental health?
Well, I think that's a really good question. When you have a situation like this, part of the response is also that sense of a loss of control. I have a loss of control over the things that govern my movement, how I take care of myself and my family. And so in order to get some of that control back, it helps to develop a routine. It helps to develop some things that you do that can help keep you regimented in such a way that a lot of the things that become routine, you don't have to think about as much. It's like, I know what I'm going to do when I get up. I have things mapped out, particularly if you are managing a lot of different situations with your children, if you have elderly relatives or parents. There's a lot of different situations you might be responding to, trying to create some sense of normalcy, but keeping the mind active, whether it's making sure that your children are dialed into their schoolwork, opportunities for them to connect with their friends, creative projects that you can create, and you can build that into eating times and when you go to sleep and when you get exercise and when you're outdoors. That's a really important part of the process. And I just want to make one more quick point that I think it's important that we not judge each other so harshly with the different ways that we're trying to respond. Because I've seen that, and it's a little frustrating to see people attacking folks at different parts of the continuum. Some say you're overreacting, you're going overboard, and you hunker down in your place of residence, and you're criticizing other folks for stepping out the door. Right. And then you have folks at the other end who are still going to large gatherings, who are still doing things, and it might be a difference in sort of personal and individual needs for social interaction and engagement. And as long as you're doing things in a way that is relatively safe, I think it's important that we, share information with each other so that we're informed on how to take care of ourselves, but not be too harsh when someone's coping is different than yours. I think that's what's behind a lot of the humor that we've seen. We've already nicknamed it the Rona in our community, right? But humor is a form of coping as well, and it's not always making light of it. It's just sort of a response that helps us sort of manage and cope with a difficult situation.
And before we pass it, the whole concept of scheduling and reducing the number of decisions we have to make, I've seen in instances the whole concept of decision-making fatigue, basically where you're making so many decisions. If you can limit, if you just have a schedule,
That's right.
have certain things laid out, you don't just become overwhelmed, because
That's right.
instead of by having a schedule, you can cut your decisions down to 50 versus 150.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that there is a level of mental health, I guess, security
Absolutely.
and stability just from not having so many different decisions.
Yeah.
So I just wanted
wealth of data on that.
Yeah.
In terms of the resources that you take, mental, psychological resources to process and think and to make this when it's sort of mapped out for you. And then like a lot of what we're trying to do for our children is reduce some of those decisions that they have to make to keep them in a routine. So that's an excellent point.
My brother, jump on in.
I'm loving that everything you are saying is part of emergency preparation. You're not panicking. When you're saying reduce those decisions, my dad used to say it's a mighty poor rat that only has one hole to run to. He's always telling me that. You're laying out your options. One of the classes that we teach as Black Packers is called Get Out and Get Home. And when an emergency happens, your safe place is home. That's the last place you left where everything was okay, where you had food, water, protection, people that love you. Wherever you are, what is your plan to get home? You know that if something happens, your wife is going to come to you. Your kids are going to come to you. So have you laid out or even talked about, hey, if I don't show up to you at 5 o'clock when I pick you up for school every day, this is the next place you go to. And I'm not going to go down to Johnny's house or call everybody on your cell phone or look through IG, because we've already worked out that you're going to go to this next place. So
that's a plan.
That's a plan.
And
that
you have to
reduces
have
decisions.
a plan.
That's the plan for it. Like you said, I did some scouting the night of, and everyone's in Walmart running around crazy. And we just walked around, and everyone had these cartons of tissue. I mean, just stacked high. I don't know who put the word out that tissue saves lives.
Right.
I don't know. And I'm still trying to figure it out.
It's bothering me. I'm like, I feel like I'm missing something.
And I got real judgmental.
Right.
What's wrong with my people? What's wrong with y'all?
What should
be
people,
doing?
What should people, when they go to the grocery store, say if we're on 4 weeks, and again, you all, I don't have any inside information. I'm just presenting what we call in the law a hypothetical.
Hypothetical
If
situation.
for 4 weeks we have to just stay quarantined within our homes, we're not able to run back and forth to the grocery store every day.
Gotcha.
We can't go up to the Chick-fil-A or the Zaxby's to grab,
You get to save a lot of money. Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
What should people go to the store and stock up on for life-saving measures? What is your recommendation?
The first thing is relative to your family. I'm a single man. If I want to live on saltine crackers and sardines for 4 weeks, I can. Get what your family needs. Get your basic water. It may not be the alkaline from the Alps and all that stuff. You're going to look at what kind of money you have and start getting enough water. I think it's a gallon for every person. You're going to have that in the house. You're going to get extra reserves of it too. So you might have your water in your big glass bottle stuck to the side, but then you have your regular 99-cent or $3 cases of water that y'all going to drink back and forth. You're going to start reducing what you're using as well. We waste so much because we have the luxury of doing that. When you start looking at that 4-week plan, which is a lot of mamas were doing, which made me stop being judgmental. I'm in there buying for myself. These mamas just found out that they're not going to work tomorrow, and their kids are going to be home. So that them 3 eggs that I had for the morning now got to be 16 eggs because I got to have them all week. So start buying in bulk and start looking at other people and saying, look, I got all the eggs. You go get the bread. What store you at on that side of town? You go ahead and get that for me. We'll meet up at my house and we'll start divvying things out. Get canned goods, but get things with low sodium. Black people, we know how we are with sodium. Lord, we know how we are with sodium. We do not want to go into hypertension while we sit in our house Netflixing on whatever we're watching. Get as much dry goods as you can. We're going to start stocking up on rice because it doesn't cost a lot. Beans do not cost a lot. You can go buy your 20-pound bag here and there and put it away. Make sure you seal it off as you need be and leave it alone. You heat up some water. If your power goes out, you can always get, if you got a gas stove, got a kerosene stove, you can make a fire outside if you need to. That's legal in Georgia, by the way. As long as you have food anywhere near a fire, you can have a fire outside. You can boil water. If you can boil water, you got beans and rice. And all of us in here like beans and rice, even the vegan brothers and sisters. Like, period. So get your dry goods, set them aside. Get your water, set that aside. And please get some chocolate. Get something nice for the kids. Get some reward for yourself. As you were saying with your mental faculties, keep your exercises up. You don't need weights. You don't need a Planet Fitness or whatever membership. You got your calisthenics and your body weight. So that's something you can do to keep your brain going. That's a low-cost way to keep your reserves together. Keep gas in your car. Keep gas in your car because you never know when you may have to leave your safe place.
Let me ask you this, and then I want to turn it over to Brother Fred and Marty. Is there any place where our folks that are watching might be able to go and get an example of a plan?
Great
question. Here is, again, everyone's plan is unique.
Yeah.
But I just want to, I always, look at templates. Again, I'm just going back to my legal training. You don't even start a motion without at least looking at somebody else's motion. And then you say, oh, okay, all right, this is different about my situation. My case is different.
Yeah.
Is there a place where plans are available that you feel like, hey, someone could take this plan, tweak it for their family, and go from there? Or do you all do that kind of work?
We're putting one on our website.
Excellent.
Usually when we have, since every plan is different,
Sure.
And a benefit of this has been you get to see who your real clique is. You get to see who your squad is. You get to see who you can rely on very quickly. That plan is your plan, and everyone does not need to know your plan. So we're putting something online from what we do with our classes, but everyone find 3 people that you know of. Think of them. You might know where grandma's house is. You might know that neighbor down the street who you just got a good camaraderie with. You might know somebody at a store. With those 3 people in mind, all of you all should have, hey, if I speak to you in such and such a way, or if you see little Johnny or Susan, they're coming to you, I need them to stay with you until I get to you. That's part of a plan. They know that they can trust you. Also, since this is reciprocity, if your family needs to get to me, they're with me and they're safe until you get to me. Know what those distances are. Know that if, for a quick example, we're supposed to be somewhere at 7:00, and let's get a local place like I don't mess with Waffle House because they didn't treat my black sisters right.
That's right.
Let's go with local owned business. There's schools in here.
Come by the firm.
Come by the law
Davis
firm.
Bozeman Law Firm.
And they know, hey,
4153 Flash Hills Parkway.
Yes, and that can be a safe place. And hey, if I get there at 5:00 and you're not there, you're gonna stay there till 6:30, and then you're gonna go to Quick Trip. Quick Trip is a safe place. It is a place you can go to and let them know that you are in danger. This goes with sex trafficking if need be. This goes with physical abuse. This goes with someone is following me and I don't know what to do. If you go to Quick Trip gas stations and let the attendants know, they will keep you there and send law enforcement there to help you. Yes, there's a blue safe place thing at Quick Trips.
That's great.
That's why they have that information in the bathroom. Hey, you in trouble? Come talk to someone real quick. You can stay in there until help gets to you.
That's strong.
That's great information.
And while I have it,
Keep going, brother.
We're working on a sister suggested that we have an app set up or some sort, because when we had this last scare with trafficking and whatnot, which kind of got me thinking about the scare that's coming through because a lot of folks started getting leave, and folk weren't really keeping the tabs on who was where. That if you are separated, if you're going out on a date, if you finna go hiking by yourself, you want to go on a trip, you can say, hey, Brian, I'm going to this place. I don't need everybody knowing, but check on me at 5 o'clock, or if I don't call you back by 10 p.m., you know the last place I was right here. That way, no one has well, I don't know where he went. He was having a bad day and walked off. When you're talking about the mental health, that hug coming in early, having that one person to reach out to say, hey, I'm looking for you. I'm going to call you. I'm concerned about your day. I will stop doing whatever to check on you is important. That's part of being ahead of an emergency so that when it happens, you have already prepared and know what to do.
Appreciate that. We still checking for each other.
Always.
Got to continue to check for each other, folk. We just can't, because it is not every man and woman for themselves. That's not how we've ever survived, right? I mean, when we look at the history of our survival, it has always been a collective. It has never been this idea that individualistically we could just do this, you know, and that's, you know, that's just the myth, right? The reality is that in every situation that we've come out of, we have collectively said, you know, we've had grandmamas take on children. We've had the daddy down the street. I got my cousin here from Chicago. His grandfather was my only grandfather because I never had one. And so those are all examples of how we have been connected. It's allowed us to survive. It's shown us the possibilities. And at the same time, even in this era of Rona, the Rona, we don't give up on the cultural safety nets that have existed for our folks.
Yeah, you nailed it, bro. You really nailed it. It is in the age of Trump and now the time of Corona, it is our culture and accessing it that has been the strength of who we are. And so to that end, just a note about single moms and the necessity of having a plan and erecting that plan for the children to digest and execute on the board in the way of a regimented schedule. But then also it's time to...
And can you, so could you send out an example of a schedule?
Yeah, I will.
So,
I'll type it up and put it on the...
what's the email? If somebody wants to get an example of a schedule,
Sure.
What email should they email?
They can email the regular resources at blackmanlab.org. Again, that's resources at blackmanlab.org. But I will add, you know, a general template in terms of what we're using with my son and daughter. But a note about what I did in the last 48 hours. Family, what a brilliant and magnificent time it is for us to take our time back and do the things that we had always put on the back burner because of the demands of life. For example,
working out.
Sisters, I cleaned out my car, brothers. I cleaned and washed my car over the weekend. I woke up this morning with my son and we went and ran a quarter mile. And I'm taking my time.
Did you beat him?
Yeah, so he did, but I'm taking my time back. I advised my college students in the Collegian 100, I said, now's a brilliant time to research that small business that you thought about creating since you've been in school. It's a time to hug our family members and mothers and fathers. You're gonna have to get closer to your children during this time to investigate the things that you missed while they've been at school and you've been at work. And so I saw something on Instagram that I thought was so profound in really turning this poison into medicine, Brother Miley.
It's an opportunity, right?
It's an opportunity.
Speak to that.
And it says, you know, that, a number of things have been canceled, but what's not been canceled is hope. Laughing hasn't been canceled. Singing and reading. Music hasn't been canceled. Getting outdoors hasn't been canceled. And neither has family. And so turning this poison into medicine really provides for us an opportunity while we're at home, while we're now having an opportunity to clean out the car, that closet that I've been put out. Man, take the time to teach that young man how to cook. Zaki made some rice the other day because we now have time. Right? Now I'm teaching him how to cook. No, he did pretty good for his first shot. His first shot at it. You know, I just said, cook the water out, son. Just cook the water out. But you know, the idea though, bro, like you said, is just now we've got an opportunity to get closer to ourselves and the ones we love. And so it's just a matter of perspective. Black folk, we got time now.
Yeah.
Let's capitalize.
And to that point, time to like think.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? Because we're so inundated on a daily basis with especially those of a certain age, right?
Yeah.
It's you got your children to worry about. If you're fortunate to have your parents around, you got to be concerned about them, right? Because they're elderly. You got your work, you got your love life. All those things just take up your time, and you're left with nothing here to think about, right? You don't have, because you're constantly moving on those other pieces. And Molly and I talked about this back when this first started getting to where it is now. It was like, first we had all this angst, and then it was like, you know what, man, we need to just jump into the stuff that we haven't been able to do and think. That's right. And take some time to think about what's next.
This is the beauty of Black Man Lab, right? When you get brothers together and sister, Dr. Joyce Drayton, but when you get us together, we're able to bounce off of each other. And I'm listening to y'all, and stuff is jumping around in my head. So how about we have a Black Man Lab challenge?
Oh, I love it.
Right? We have a challenge around.
It's the hashtag already.
We put it out. We put it out that we're going to all participate. We're going to all go outside. We are committing. We're challenging Black men all over the world to get outside and do a mile, whether it's walking, running, biking, to do a mile, to read at least 30 minutes, at least 30, y'all.
Yeah.
At least 30 of something that is socially conscious, inspirational. And then can we build that out, right? With y'all's help, and then we gotta, go ahead.
Sister Harriet Tubman is the reason why we hike. Black Packers hike, and we're going to knock out every Georgia State park this year. We did half of them last year. We're starting over and doing them this year.
Oh, wow.
That walking a mile.
Yeah.
When the Snowmageddon happened in Atlanta, people stayed in their car because they couldn't leave. They stayed in their car because they were like, I don't know which way to get home. So as Black Packers, if you ever want to become one to get a patch of ours, you have to hike. You got to walk a mile. And you might have to walk a mile and carry your brother's knapsack for him.
All right.
You might have to walk a mile and carry someone's kid, because that's part of the challenge. And it should never be my brother can't do something. It's my brother needs a hand doing something. I'm going to go help him so we can both get where we're going. Period.
I say. That's strong. Another question. Doc, what's a healthy amount of television to watch while we at the crib?
13 episodes.
Look, I don't know if Jana's watching, man, but I've been like, baby, turn off the TV. We can't take no more of this. I mean, how much more CNN, MSNBC, and then we watching Fox to see what that critique. Yeah, we trying to hear it all, but how much of that is healthy, man? Like, do we have to? Should we set some kind of I guess just a cutoff of amount or what we digest?
I think you've answered your own question. So I think we're all pretty familiar with how, as society has evolved technologically over the years, that we consume more and more TV. Hours and hours, where you got into, and I know there's one after the millennial generation, but looking at a lot of television,
Z generation,
which is a very passive way to sort of activate and stimulate your brain. And so, given that we've had the conversation about routines, I think it makes sense to build some in when it's desired, right? I think it's important to reduce the or to manage the overall quantity on a day-to-day basis, but also how long at any one point in time. If you can get through, like if you watch a movie, a long one is 2.5 to 3 hours.
Right.
You really should, take a break at that point. The goal is to keep your mind active, but it's good to do other things. And I hope that we'll continue to sort of build lists of things that we can do, whether it's playing chess, whether it's learning how to cook, all these things that sort of
Scrabble.
Yeah.
And they're more interactive than television, right? When you're engaged with someone, I mean, you can still play chess and move pieces like this. You don't have to be all up in each other's face. But I do think that it's important that we look for all of these different ways and take advantage of the time that we have. I do also want to say that there is very much an important sort of class analysis to this. All of us don't have the luxury of doing some of these things.
Break it down,
the
bro.
people in our society who are the most vulnerable to all of the different isms, homophobia, sexism, racism, so on and so forth, they're challenged that much more during this time. So whether you're talking about folks who are undocumented, people who have mental illness, folks who have criminal justice records. We got 500,000 people on probation and parole in Georgia. Think about what they've had to do to sort of manage their situation. Women. So, I think it's important to sort of acknowledge that after a lot of the sort of fear response happened, I feel really good that I'm amongst a community of people that started to look at some of those folks who were lost and kind of left out there and say, okay, how can we help those moms who were talking? You know what I'm saying? Who work at Burger King, work in the cafeteria, people who have limited resources. I did want to also say for those who who find themselves in a mental health crisis, who aren't able to manage the sense of fear and hopelessness, there is a line, the Georgia Crisis and Access Line. It's 1-800-715-4225. It's free.
One more time.
1-800 Georgia Crisis and Access Line. 1-800-715-4225. They'll respond 24/7. They have mobile crisis response. They will come to you. They cover about 50 to 60% of Georgia. Okay. And they're definitely well staffed here in the Atlanta area. I remember the doc talked about SARS and what happened during that time. There was several studies that were done that about 29 to 30% of folks who were quarantined developed symptoms of PTSD during that period. So it's really important to look at some of the most vulnerable among us and wrap our arms around them, at least figuratively.
Absolutely. right. Giving you the
and
air
Dr.
hug.
Brian and Molly, can we go back at some point and just give out the information for people who may have tuned in later that we gave out in the beginning?
Absolutely. One of the things that you were just talking about, Molly, that I wanted to touch on and how you guys talk about a little bit is, we talk about the amount of TV that people are kind of honed in to have to do right now because people are hunkering down a lot. But I think that the bigger issue, and I wish I could remember who wrote this article. I saw it recently. They were talking about the amount of negativity that we're taking in on a daily basis with what's going on. Okay, so you throw in, we already had a lot of negative stuff going on just from a community standpoint, but then also from our government, and now we have a pandemic. And it's like people are just getting overwhelmed, and they use the term PTSD in it. I wish I could remember the article, but can you guys speak to that a little bit?
Do we have Dr. Bass? Because I know is Dr. Chris Bass on? Not yet. We're gonna pull Dr. Bass in on it, but while we're getting Dr. Bass, if you all could speak to that, because I've also heard that it's those negative thoughts and information are 4 to 7 times more likely to be more impactful than a positive.
And then you see it becoming kind of contagious, not to use the term, but contagious into social media, right? Because people are, it's like everybody goes into this negative space, and I think that has some real damaging effects on our communities.
No, it absolutely does.
Ready? We're gonna have Dr. White come in. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. Real quick, I won't speak to the psychological aspects, but I'll speak to the centrality of breathing exercises and meditation that I would ask our viewers to tune and make a part of their rising in the morning and going to rest at night. And I would suggest 5 minutes, brothers, for those of you who are not already in the practice, to establish it with your children. Please do it with your children. Kill the TV, kill the radio, and at those early moments of rising, just sit comfortably and breathe and try to discipline your mind. That helps with the negativity. In times of conflict in the house, as these days will begin to be long and your tempers become short, please take a moment of breath before you respond, which is really what we build a habit of negativity, which we talk about at the Black Man Lab. Certainly to break those habits, one has to first be aware, and then one has to try a different strategy. And that is just taking that moment of breath to respond to that child in a positive way that will not, in Baba Wakesa, let's talk about what they're doing and that negative doing and not their being. Two different things, negative doing and negative being. We've got to break that cycle. So I just wanted to make that point, habit changing.
Habit changing, because the concern obviously is having everyone in the house.
Yes, sir.
A rise in domestic violence.
Yes, sir.
A rise in child abuse.
Yes, sir.
A rise in domestic, confrontations,
Discord.
right?
Yeah, sure.
And discord. And so we have to have those strategies that we engage. I'm even wondering if we should schedule when you watch TV, right? Let's schedule it. We're scheduling when we're gonna watch TV. We're scheduling when we're gonna engage in social media, because social media has as much of that information. But if we're on social media all day, man, if we're doing it all day, we're getting it, and for me, it becomes overwhelming. I try not to touch my phone in terms of really looking at any social media until after I've done that morning routine.
Work out. Yes, sir.
I may check texts because I'm like, all right, somebody get injured, is it work? But just in terms of jumping on Facebook, jumping on IG, jumping on Twitter to start your day,
Poor habits.
it get tricky, right?
Yeah.
My brother, and then we got a question here.
Yeah.
Okay, let's jump the question off.
Okay. So the question is from Dennis Murray Sr. He says, what are we doing as a community to teach youth that don't have the internet about the virus? Is there anything? He has suggestion. He suggests that we have a conference call for those youth in need of a lesson plan because they should know that many students were behind grades before the virus mayhem.
All right, let's speak to it, Brother Parham. I know you do.
Yeah, the
you
academic
work with a lot
side.
of the academic side. How can we do this?
So on the academic side, responding directly to the Brother Mary's question, Brother Mary, on the academic side, those young people who don't have internet, this is where Brother Miley's advice about looking out for the person next to you. The school is obligated, whatever school they go to, because of the homework and classwork assignments going to Google Classroom and APS, I'm not sure about other districts, they have to provide, I heard in the city of Decatur, they're having a set day, I think Wednesday,
Right.
to come out and get laptops for those children. So
They're making laptops available.
yeah, they are making laptops available for those children. Those who have internet in the community, you know who in the neighborhood, Brother Mary, don't have internet. Which children don't. Let us be resources to one another. We don't have to rely on the government to make all the decisions for us.
We've got Dr. White on. Doc, how you doing, brother? Good, man. We're used to having you in the space, Dr. White. We got these brothers here.
Where you at?
Where you at, man? You're not on your post, black man.
Actually, during this time, normally on a Monday night, I would be teaching an African American families class, a graduate course at Clark Atlanta University. But like every university in the country, we've had to make some adjustments. So our university has been engaged in an aggressive process of moving faculty as well as students to teaching online for the remainder of the course. So we're excited. For me, for the most part, I'll be doing part of what I've been doing the entire semester anyway.
I've got 3 questions for you, man. We're gonna work you real quick. Number 1, yesterday I was a part of a beautiful call, a group called Indugu that one of our board members, Maurice Thompson, is the founder and president of. And in that conversation with Indugu, one of the issues raised was how are HBCUs dealing with the Rona, right? How are we dealing with this and supporting our young people? And one of my classmates from elementary school, Dr. Willis Walter, talked about the need for touches and why HBCUs are effective is that our young people get those additional touches that they might not normally receive at a predominantly white institution. And so if you could speak to that very briefly about what is CAU, what are you observing from colleagues around the country that teach at HBCUs, how are we supporting our young people and figuring out ways to keep them with touches and preparing them for their next step, whether that is the next year in college or for them to graduate and go on into the workforce or start their own businesses. Speak to that, Doc, if you could.
Well, one of the things that are most interesting is, what makes an HBCU unique is our touch, is our care, and is our level of concern. We do it like no one else. I remember my wife, Dr. White, who teaches in criminal justice program. She teaches a lot of football players who choose criminal justice as a major. And I remember one time there was a student she had a concern with, and she knocked on his door on her way to school and said, "I know you're not going to be late for my class."
Wow.
Come to the class with her. So the touches and that unique piece is critical in terms of our HBCUs. Now, I will tell you, as all across the country, we still have to find a way to make that touch occur. We talk about synchronous and asynchronous teaching. Part of that deals with the live chat and the discussions that we will do. I know at Parkland University, the additional training that we had on Zoom. So we'll, on some evenings, I'll have the entire class on the screen, so we can still engage in the type of discussion and dialogue that we need to do, which is radically different from just the pure online teaching where discussion posts are put up and people respond and then we do a test and more discussion posts. So being live, I think, is one of the things that are absolutely critical to maintain that unique attribute of HBCUs in terms of the quality touches. So we have to be creative in our way of engaging the students. My office hours, for example, for my students who are preparing to defend their dissertations. The beautiful thing now is I got them live. They got me live. We share their documents. So maintaining the touches is absolutely critical. But the challenge too is that you have older faculty and younger faculty. Brother Grant also always talks about digital natives and digital immigrants. The digital immigrants are faculty who came into the digital age. Digital natives are the young people who were born with it. But then you have something called digital refugees. These are those 70, 69, 70-year-old faculty who have no history of technology. And so, but this is the beautiful part about student aides and others who are engaging them, because their knowledge is that powerful. So we have to be creative in the manner in which we engage our students, either aiding in the teaching in the online process, as well as engaging in the discussion.
Let me ask you, Doc, we were just mentioning the fact that so many of our families will be kind of housebound over the next at least couple of weeks, maybe even 4 to 6 weeks. And the concern around a rise in domestic discord, confrontations. What are some of the things, because you work so intensely with both Let Us Make Man and professionally with your counseling, what are some of the things that you suggest around dealing with these family issues and dynamics that we have? And then very briefly, what are the resources that are available to help people? We know you have your family counseling services that I have personally used, and I may need you because my sons are coming home, so we may, we may be over there again, bro, if I have to get ready to lay hands on these guys. But just talk a little bit about that.
CDC has done in terms of putting up some facts and
concerns to be mindful of. One thing within the home that we have to pay attention to that the CDC talked about is paying close attention to your kids. Now you're going to see their routine, the same behaviors and routines that they may play out at the school, and the doctor did an excellent job of talking about that earlier. But, we may see children coming home, and now you're seeing issues of excessive crime, worry, unhealthy eating behaviors sometimes among some of the young people, difficulty paying attention. But what we recognize with some of the young people is that dealing with the children, you have to help them interpret what's going on. Remember, here's what we do know, that there's a direct link between the children's level of anxiety and concern and the parents' level of anxiety and concern. So therefore, when the children see that the parents are calm, then they're calm. But on that same piece, we need to make sure that the parents are providing facts to the children in terms of the impact of this. Now, one of the things that's critical is that this is going to be the first time that families have been together for an extended period of time. Everything's been shut down. We went to Tuskegee University, pulled my daughter, brought her home from school. They have my other daughter here from Texas A&M home from school. And so now here's a house where we were pre-empty nesters.
Man. Fully loaded, bro. Tomorrow night, my house will be fully loaded, right? With a 20-year-old and a 22-year-old who think they grown. Amen. And there's only one man in my house.
I call them their virtual adults. But now they're coming home and all their independence. Now they know they got to take the garbage out. Now they got to go back to the routine.
Walk the dog. Virtual. Say that again, G. They're virtual what?
Virtual adults.
Virtual adults. All right.
In college, right before and just after graduation. So they have all the sense and the feeling of being adults, but they're virtual adults.
Right.
Once they take those camera lenses off, then they're back in the real world.
And they.
We work with them on the transition, but it's important that, because there is opportunities, as Brother Parham shared from this. There's opportunities to get
Yes, sir.
There's opportunities to communicate and have family time. Some of these things have to occur because there's two things that tend to happen during stressful times in the country. One, as you indicated, is increases in domestic violence, and two, this is when the baby boom begins to occur.
Yeah. Well, Doc, we appreciate you, brother. We appreciate you, man. We are going to obviously have continued conversations in this format. Hopefully we can get you physically in the space as we keep pressing forward. We're working on next week. We just want to be nimble and responsive as Black Man Lab to the needs of the brothers, their families, sisters. And so we're figuring this out, I guess, like everyone. We're just trying to work out how are we best positioned to serve community with good, solid, healthy information. We're going to bring in, man, and so I don't want you to tune out, Doc, because I know most of the time I see you in these particular colors. They're normally black and gold. So we get ready to have you all, even in light of the coronavirus. We're gonna have my boy Todd Jermaine Clark. He getting ready to come through. We had a little fashion show because the way you support Black Man Lab, and just for everyone to understand, this really started with some fathers. Brother Fred helped direct. UG. Jared, Brother Melick, Dana Watkins, we just said we had to do something to pull our young brothers together, our sons, and just have conversations with them and prepare them as they get ready to go off to college. So this really started 4 years ago. Now they're about to graduate, and my heart was hurt when I found out that Howard was not going to have a commencement on May 9th, man, because, bro, I got my dashiki. I had a Howard University, you know, like the colors, man. I was like, oh, this gonna be perfect. I'm in Ghana. I'm like, this. I'm gonna light them up. This gonna be Africa fly. So,
It's my absolute hope that they postponed it.
Yeah.
I hope.
That several universities are going to end up making that decision, because the truth of the matter is graduation is, really less than 2 months away.
Yeah.
Universities. But I do want to say this as we close out. The beautiful thing about counseling, and with some of the changes in the federal laws and executive orders making it possible for virtual counseling to occur.
Yes.
The HIPAA laws and adjustments in the laws to allow us to diversify the different mediums that we use to provide the counseling. So I already, in just that same short period of time, have 8 to 9 virtual counseling sessions that are already scheduled.
That's great.
Excellent.
The therapists, we're ready for it. We're
Great.
ready for families as well as individuals during this time.
We appreciate you, brother. Brother Eldridge, you got us set up. Come around this way, Todd. We got Jermaine Clark, one of our fashion designers. Look at him coming out.
Man, fresh and clean.
Come on, y'all better get up now. Come on over this way, Todd. Show them, and we got something for the sisters too. I know y'all like they done turn this into like the what's the show where they start selling stuff, QVC. This is a Black Man Lab shopping lab. So this is how y'all support the Black Man Lab, by buying some gear. Buy some gear. You can go to Black Man Lab. We will post pictures and you can place orders online. So just stay on your social media. If you're on Facebook, if you're on IG, Todd, tell them about this, man. What you got going here, bro?
Hey there, man. I know y'all watching at home, and we usually be in the lab, right? We usually be in the lab, but I know y'all sitting at home watching this live. Now, when you're watching the basketball game, you're watching the Laker game, you got your Laker jersey on, you got everything on. So if you watching this live, you need to have on the Black Man Lab shirt on at the crib.
There it is.
Right, and when you come in the lab, you need to have a shirt on too. We got all different flavors and styles. We got three different styles you can order, so it ain't no excuses now. It ain't no excuses. We got the one with the fist, we got the Black Man Lab with the fist. Hold it up, son. Hold it up. Hold it up, Mo. We got the Black Man Lab with the fist. We got the Black Man Lab with the African.
Oh, go.
And we got the original Black Man Lab.
The original, right?
The original. See, you can get it in. Come on, stand up, big.
He got it on.
Oh, you stand up. You get it. You get the father and you get the son edition. However you want to get it, baby. But look, this the custom drip. You won't never have one made like this before. And you got the black on the back. Let me show on the back. Let me show on the back. Show on the back. It's all custom, baby. Black Man Lab style.
Man, that's beautiful, bro. I like it. Swaggy.
Hand painted. And you see this the tree of life. It got the tree.
Oh, wow.
Oh, man.
Tree, man. You know, you gotta be swagged out, man. And this the fashion part of it, and we out.
Hey, and wait a minute. I just want to know, man, how did everything end up in black and doggone gold, man? What is Maurice, man? Y'all done just hijacked the whole thing, man. Come on now.
Right.
What are the prices?
These 40 for adults.
And we gonna
Supports Black Man Lab. So we got to give for the ladies too.
and we're gonna have pictures of all of these posted on the website. So, although we're showing them real quick here, you'll be able to go to the website and you can actually see all of these different styles that our man Todd here has put together.
This queen supports Black Man Lab. Let's give it up for.
I got one more for the young drippers now. If you ain't got no chain at home, you gotta wear the Black Man Lab chain.
Oh,
There it is.
Love it.
Man, let's give it up for Todd.
Creative genius,
Thank
family.
you, bro. That's that African genius.
Yes, sir.
Y'all, we want to get the brothers to stand up. We normally close out And those of you all who are just watching, y'all come on in here, brothers. We're gonna just put our elbows together. We're not gonna touch because we're abiding by. We got my man Stu coming in the building straight from the
Cousin.
shop. You know, so we here, man, and
We can link the chain, I think.
we
still.
can link without touching hands. There it is. Come on, Jared.
Yeah.
Come on, there's Keith Lewis.
Get in here.
Keith Lewis. Come on,
Big
Mark
Mark,
Lawson.
get in here. Brother
Come
Moody.
on, Brother Moody.
Move.
Maurice Thompson. There we go. We got everybody. Y'all, we're about 10 deep. Oh, y'all getting ready to knock the light over, and we're gonna have to pay for the light. So, brothers, we always close out, and I hope the Alghani family is watching this. Mama Queen and Jiri Alghani gave us this when we would gather for our in Cobra gatherings, and we would close out. She would close us out. She would talk about the struggle and the work and the organizing, and she would tell us that we are links in this chain, and it won't break here. And so we say that collectively. Y'all even got Keith up with, Keith, our audio then jumped up.
This is a rarity.
So we want to close out. If you out there, repeat after us. I'm a link in this chain.
I'm a link in this chain.
And it won't break here.
And it won't break here.
I'm a link in this chain.
I'm linking this chain.
And it won't break here.
And it won't break here.
We are links in this chain.
We are links in this chain.
And it won't break here.
And it won't break here.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Hug somebody in your household. We not hugging in here. Y'all hug somebody at home. We'll see y'all next Monday. Thank you, brothers.
Thank you.
Great job, brothers. Great job.